Hi, it's Amelia Johnson, and the question today is, do you use a pet sitter, and the pros and cons of using a pet sitter? I had a pet sitting service for 18 years. I worked it alone, and then I had multiple employees. But the reason why this came up is, as I was walking Gusto in the neighborhood, I found this little doorknob hanger, and it wasn't on a doorknob. It was in a vacant lot. In fact, there are 3 or 4 of them in that vacant lot. So this person's message was not getting out. And I see that she belonged to Pet Sitters International, and I had belonged to that organization too, so that I could get my insurances, bonding and liability insurance, at a more reasonable price. But I wanted to go over what this little card says, in case you've never seen one. Whoops, sorry. I'm getting older. I used to be on the floor all the time with the pets. So here's what they say, and I'm going to give you the pros of using a pet sitter. The advantages for the pet include: the pet remains in his or her familiar, secure environment, where all the sights, smells, and sounds are familiar. And that's true. The pet follows his or her customary diet and exercise routine. And this is true if the pet is conditioned to eating when you go away. If your pet has separation anxiety, may be off the diet for a little bit. The third point is the pet is not traumatized by travel in a vehicle, and that's also true unless your pet becomes sick and a pet sitter has to take your pet to the vet. 4, the pet is not exposed to illness of other animals. That is very true. And most importantly, the pet receives love and personal attention while you are away. And that is so true. Being a pet sitter for 18 years really expanded my family of pets, shall we say, because I grew to love each and every one of those pets as though they were my own. And it wasn't unusual for me to take the pet to the vet, either with the owner or alone, or be there for the pet as it was dying, because the owner could not be, because it would have been such a heartbreak for the owner. So there are different unusual circumstances that a pet sitter runs into also. Now this little card goes on to say the benefits for the owner include some of the following. You are not inconvenienced or traumatized by transporting your pet. You do not have to impose upon a friend, neighbor, or relative. And that is actually a very big issue. I had people hire me even though they had college students living in a home or other family members that were not willing to take care of their pet while they were gone. And I would come in periodically and take the pet out for exercise. You do not have to, your home is looked after as well, since most pet sitters provide crime deterrent services. And here's something. I'll first tell you about an experience I had, and this was before cell phones, where I entered a home and there was a stranger in the home. And that stranger was upstairs where the dog was. He refused to respond to me. Fortunately, there was a phone downstairs and I called the police, and I stayed locked in that area downstairs and gave him a chance to escape till the police came and searched for him. Turned out to be an acquaintance of the family that apparently knew how to get into the home and through an unsecured door. So these are things that pet sitters need to be leery of, as well as homeowners. Make sure when you leave all the doors are locked. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to an assignment and found doors unlocked because people are in a rush to leave and they assume another family member has locked up after them. So that was one issue. And I totally forgot what else I was going to talk about as far as being a crime deterrent. Oh, I know. If you hire a pet sitter that has their name emblazoned on their vehicle, think again. Because just as today, people are following UPS trucks around and stealing the packages off the porch, people will follow that pet sitter around if they have their name and what their business is on their vehicle, and they will know you're not home. And they will know what kind of pet you have. They will know the schedule of that pet sitter, and you're setting yourself up for liability, and that pet sitter is totally unethical. So that's my rant on that one. So you can leave your home worry-free, knowing your pet is in good hands. And that's true. The more experience your pet sitter has, the better. They should have some background as a vet tech or some type of training background, because every pet is a different pet and has different needs that the pet sitter needs to address. So you can return home at any hour of the day and find your healthy, happy pet eagerly awaiting your return. And that may or may not be true, depending upon whether your pet likes the pet sitter better than they like you. But here's a couple other things I wanted to address while we're on the topic of pet sitting and pros and cons. And that is, you as a pet parent, what should you expect from your pet sitter? Now there's a few things that I refuse to do as far as taking on an assignment. So consider this when you're thinking about hiring a pet sitter. One, I never agreed, or I actually did agree once because I was under pressure, to pet sit a home that was in an exclusive neighborhood, and they had their dogs behind an electric fence. And a woman guaranteed me that those dogs would never leave the yard. Well, they did. And who had to spend time searching for those dogs until they got home? Now, this woman was on an extended trip to California. I made a call and I said I cannot continue to do this way. And I put the pets in the home and just made more frequent trips. That was my only option, because the safety of the pets is the most important thing in my mind. So the other type of fencing also, the regal fencing, no. There are too many pets being stolen today. People know when you're not home. And if your dog has access to the outside, that's one thing. While you're at work, you are at home, you would have knowledge, and hopefully you have a security camera set up so that you can see what's going on with your pet all the time. But back in the day when I was pet sitting, I was very leery because dogs jump over fences. People come through fences. People leave gates open if they're delivering packages. My goodness, I had an American Eskimo friend whose beautiful champion dog ran out onto the road after the roofer left the gate open. Yes, sad. So don't ever, ever, ever expect a pet sitter to do that, thinking that your pet is getting exercise outside. Truthfully, your pet does not exercise outside unless you're out there exercising with them, or unless they have a buddy out there exercising with them. So don't ask your pet sitter to leave your pet outside most of the day, okay? Also, leave enough supplies for your pet sitter. Your pet sitter doesn't have time, especially during the holiday season like it is now, to go out and run for anything that you forgot to get. And there always is an extra charge for that, or there should be, unless you have a very young, hungry pet sitter. And then another thing that I would never do, because I learned my lesson, and that was to share services with family members. This is a recipe for disaster. Why wouldn't your family member take over full care of that pet? Why expect them to just come in the evening? I've had family members leave doors unlocked. I don't know whether a pet is well or not. Especially true with cats. And I had an experience with an older cat. The woman's neighbor volunteered to come over in the evening. I had no clue because she didn't leave a diary. She didn't leave me any notes as far as what that cat was eating, whether it was using the litter box. I didn't know whether she was cleaning the litter box. And I knew that that cat wasn't quite right the last time I was there pet sitting it. And I called the owner, couldn't reach her, called the vet. The vet says, oh, that's normal. You know, you don't need to bring him in. And I kept calling the vet, and the vet refused to see the cat. I think because they felt the owner was neurotic. Unfortunately, that cat was ill. And it passed away, I don't know how long after my pet sitting assignment was over. But that cat did not need to be in a situation where there were sharing of services, because no one knows what the other hand is doing unless you have great communication. So those are the pros and cons of pet sitters. I hope you have a pet sitter you value and that you treat that pet sitter well. And if you ever have any doubts, keep those lines of communication open. If you're using a pet sitting service that has multiple pet sitters, make sure you know each one of those pet sitters. It just gives you that much more ease. And I know that there's other apps coming up now where you can just have an app on your phone and somebody will come into your house to walk your dog. That's not wise. You have no idea who those people are, and yes, this company that's a big on the internet, online type of company, says that they do background checks on these people. Please don't. Please know that person personally. Get plenty of references, and that's the only way you will be able to enjoy your vacation, when you put your pet in the hands of a pet sitter. So let me know, do you use a pet sitter? Have you been pleased with your pet sitter? What have you learned from leaving your pet with a pet sitter? Oh, there's one other thing. You can see Gusto behind me. He's very peaceful now because he knows I'm here. But he's a puppy. And there's no way I would expect a pet sitter to come in and take care of him. Number one, I wouldn't want to leave him crated for any length of time. And I know, I've done those types of assignments successfully. But a puppy, no. Puppies get anxious. Puppies need plenty of attention. They need plenty of exercise. So don't expect your pet sitter to take care of your puppy unless you're having that pet sitter come in at least 4 times a day. And that'll run your budget up a bit. But that's the only way I would advise that. And ideally, you would have somebody come into your house and sleep over when you have young animals like that. So again, leave your comment below. If you haven't gotten my free ebook about supplements for your pet's optimal health, just click under the Learn More button at the top of this page and you will find that. So have happy holidays, any vacations you take, anytime you need to use a pet sitter. Just follow those tips and enjoy your time away. Bye-bye.